All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, or our little call sign at MC Show Digital. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and love our videos. We love when you do that for us, and we are looking to up subscribers. We're doing a little contest right now, a David Tyree autographed photo in a frame to going out to one of our first 300 subscribers. As soon as we get to 300, we're going to deliver that through a raffle to one of our 300 subscribers. So get in on that while the getting's good, as they say. Today's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Bayberry, where integrity in everything is what matters. Bring your auto to Bayberry on Route 57 in Liverpool. All right, we've got a special guest this morning, Boy Green. Oh, by the way, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent. It's great to have this guy. And on MLB trade deadline day, no less.
Love
any
it.
day would be great with Dick Scott. But yeah, this is a special treat for all the fans that are watching live.
So he is the manager of your AAA Syracuse Mets. Let's welcome him into our little video world. It's Dick Scott. Hey, Dick, good morning. How are you?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Good to be with you. Good to be talking to you in the video world. We're used to audio, so good to be swinging over here. I know you are in Buffalo with the Syracuse Mets, but man, have things been shaken on the big Mets front, which has been affecting your roster as well. The Mets making two big trades. Paul's going to throw up a couple of the guys here in just a second, but let me just detail real quickly. I can find my notes. The two trades. The Mets get Tyler Rogers and Ryan Helsley. These are two relievers. The Mets really needing, the big Mets making their number one priority, that bullpen in front of Edwin Diaz. They've been really taxed. There have been a lot of injuries. And in these deals, they traded away 6 prospects, some of which you are very familiar with. So let's first talk about what the Mets got, and then let's talk a little bit about what the Mets gave away. What can you tell us about Tyler Rogers? Let's start with him.
Well, he's been one of the premier relievers in all of baseball for the last 2 or 3 seasons. And I'm sure you guys have seen video of him. He's got a very unique arm angle, submariner, very difficult to hit, doesn't walk guys. And he's just a reliable guy. And, with Diaz at the end of the game, the Mets are in pretty good shape. And I think they just needed a couple of guys to get, bridge the 7th and 8th inning. And, obviously Rogers is one. Helsley, who we'll talk about in a second. I mean, he's been a closer himself, a very successful closer, throws over 100 miles per hour. So they have 2 unique arms, one power arm, one guy that's a submarine, but both very effective.
Dick, before we get into all the prospects that were moved here, I want to get to sort of a human level. Dick, you're a former player. You're obviously the manager of the team. What are the feelings, on trade deadline day today specifically? But, over the last week, there's been action. People are moving. Families are moving. Lives are changing. Can you give us sort of the mindset, both in your position currently and also as a former player? What's going through your mind on trade deadline day?
Yeah, especially at AAA, things are going to happen. Like as we enter this week, and you know what, the players know things are going to happen too, but they are human beings. It's just not a matter of going from, excuse me, a Mets uniform to a Giants uniform, or what have you. There's some of these guys have families. They've got apartments in Syracuse or wherever they're at, and now they have to go to a different city, and they have to make sure everybody's taken care of. I think there's just a lot more to it. And from a personal standpoint, we traded 2 guys off our team yesterday. The trade happened just as we were finishing our day game. And I called the guys into the office individually to talk to them. And, you have relationships with these guys. You wish them well. You think it's exciting because they probably have a chance to get to the major leagues right away in these trades. But, still like you care about them, and they're young people too. Like I have kids that are older than some of these guys, or they're the same age. And you kind of look at them like, dude, you're going to be okay. Trust me, you'll be okay. It's some guys, they handle it well, and other guys are super nervous about it. They don't know. All they've known is the Mets. So there are a lot of moving parts into these trades.
Yeah,
Dick.
you get, as a manager, Dick, you get to have these great conversations. Sometimes those conversations are, hey, guess where you're headed? You're headed to the show. I must imagine that that's a treat to tell a player. But to tell a player, you're headed somewhere else where there's uncertainty, how different are those two things?
Well, telling somebody they're making they're going to the major leagues, like I would say something like, hey, I got some great news. Tomorrow you're going to be a Major League Baseball player. and the look on their face and the memory that moment brings to those players, they'll never forget it. And it's not me that they'll never going to forget. It's just where they were, the circumstances, how their season was going, where the team is. Are they in New York? Are they on the road? And there's just all of a sudden it's just super sped up in their mind. How am I going to get there? And all that stuff is being taken care of for them, but they don't know that. They're just like, they've got a million questions. Guys sometimes are just stunned into silence. They're all very happy, and it's a great feeling. It really is.
Dick, what can you share? Whatever you're comfortable with. What does that conversation look like? You said you had to have a couple of those conversations yesterday, following your guys' afternoon baseball game, which was a win, by the way. Winners of 7 of the last 8, but who's counting? So yeah, Dick, what are those conversations like?
Well, I got a call from Andy Green, who's our senior VP, and he's obviously relaying a message from David Stearns, and he told me that there's a potential trade with the Giants, and that it's going to affect a couple of guys on our team. It wasn't finalized at the moment, but we wanted to alert the players just in case, because we didn't want them to see it at first on social media.
Of course.
That's not a good way to go.
No.
Like somebody walking into my office and say, "Hey, I've just been traded." And they're like, what's going on? So we wanted to kind of preempt that a little bit. So I called Drew Gilbert in first. He was the first guy I saw in the locker room. And Drew's actually been traded. He was traded to us, and he's kind of a cool customer. So when he came in, I told him potentially that you might be involved with a trade. He goes, for Tyler Rogers for the Giants. He'd already seen something on,
God.
But he didn't know it was him. He just knew that we had made the Mets had made a trade with the Giants. And
wow.
I said, I don't know if that's the case or not. And I kind of did know that might be the case, but it wasn't finalized. And we were just trying to alert them, like, hey, heads up, this might be happening. And he was very cool about it. He's like, I said, how are you doing? And he was smiling, because he feels like it might be a better chance to get to the major leagues. And that's what these guys are trying to do. And so I asked him, I go, how are you doing? He goes, I've been traded before. It's just baseball. Like, he handled it like perfectly. And I was like, okay. So then I brought Blade Tidwell in, and right behind him was Drew Gilbert. So they both came into the office. They both are from University of Tennessee. They went their separate ways originally in minor league, but then they reunited here. And so Drew was just standing in the room as I told Blade, and Drew Gilbert was just grinning. And so I told Blade, and Blade was a little bit more apprehensive, nervous, unsure, because he's an original Met and he hasn't gone through this process. And so I told him that my years in baseball, typically when they make a trade for a major league guy, they want to have there's 2 ways to go. You want to have major league players in return, or you get young prospects. And these guys are Tidwell's already played in the major leagues.
Yeah. And
so I said, this could be a great opportunity for both of you guys. And as soon as I finished, Drew Gilbert was like, he's like, dude, he goes, it's just weird how we're always just going to the same place. We always get connected. And Wade was still sitting there trying to just comprehend what had just happened. And Drew's already thinking, like, maybe we'll be roommates over there in San Francisco or whatever. So
wow,
it's just 2 different personalities and how they handle it.
Skip, talk about Tidwell a little bit. I mean, we've seen a lot of him here in Central New York, in Syracuse. He looked like a really solid prospect to me. As you mentioned, he's already gotten a couple of looks at the major league level with the Mets. Give me your thoughts on where he is in his evolution, and how close is he perhaps to making that jump permanently?
Yeah, I mean, I think he obviously can go and compete there. Is he a finished product, or is he like, sometimes you have guys in the minor leagues like, this guy's ready. Like, he needs more competition. AAA's not making it happen for him. Let's see what we have here. I think he's close. I mean, he's got big stuff, big arm. I think he's going to be a really good major league pitcher. Opportunity. Sometimes guys seize opportunity. And I will say this, sometimes when you change organizations, it's not a wake-up call, because both of these guys work hard. They're always paying attention to things. There are no issues at all. But sometimes when you go to a new organization, it ratchets that up a little bit, and you're a little bit more focused. You pay attention a little bit more to detail. It's a new place. You're trying to make a good impression. And I think both guys are going to be, really good for the Giants.
Dick, I want to go, and there's a lot of fan questions we'll sort of get into throughout the show. And I see this message in here from Bill, the produce guy, who chimes in, and he says, I know we're a feeder for the big league team, but it's frustrating to lose key players when the team is hot. He was messaging me last night when he heard the rumors about, or yesterday when the trade rumors were coming. What's your message to fans? Because, right, to them, right, Syracuse Mets fans, winners again, 7 of their last 8, and things seem to be really turning around in the second half of the season, that they're all getting excited. And then they see some of these moves, and while it's good for the players, for some of the fans, they get a little disappointed.
Well, I understand that. And plus, I have to be there too. Like, our team's not better today that we lost Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell. I think we do have prospects that will be coming at some point, but it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, we are a player development system solely here for our major league team. And we're not an independent baseball team that's, the Syracuse Mets that play unattached to anything else. And I know that's kind of difficult, but if you look at last year's trade deadline, and it's kind of something that we've talked about here, we were, I think, 60-35, or maybe 65-35 at the trade deadline last year. And we lost about 14 players in 5 days.
Wow.
And it like crushed. It hurt our season a lot, but like we went to the NLCS last year as a major league team, and that's like we're trying to win World Series.
Of course,
teams have these prospects, and you're going to have to part with some of them. You have to do really good evaluations internally to make sure that you're not giving away somebody that you think is going to be a superstar. You protect some of those guys. We still have good players here. There's still a lot of good players, and the deadline is today at 6:00. And yesterday after the game, before the game, I make my lineup out for the next day. And I have a card. I made the lineup out. Then I heard Drew was gone. And then I started to make out again. Then I heard there was a potential another trade with the Cardinals. So then I just tore up all the papers, and I'm like, I'll just do this later. And that's just how it goes,
You got to understand the nature of the beast. And I know for the local fans, it's disappointing. You guys are right now just a half game back for the second half of the season. It could result, if you finish in first in this gigantic division that's known as the International League, that you could get in a playoff situation with the folks here in Central New York would obviously love. But you do have to understand who you are. Just going back to the Tyler Rogers deal and finishing that one up. So Gilbert gets shipped off. Blade Tidwell gets shipped off. Also, Jose Butto. We've seen Butto both down here in the minors and with the Big Mets. Talk a little bit about him, where he was at, and how big a loss is this?
Yeah, I think the major league team in the front office would look at like, okay, we're getting Tyler Rogers, and he's going to take Butto's spot on the 26-man roster in the major league. So they obviously feel that's an upgrade, or they wouldn't have made the trade. Like I said, Rogers has been a proven major league reliever. And, the one thing that major league managers and front office, but a major league manager wants guys that come out of the bullpen that they can trust. And trust means not just that you're going to dominate the game. It's just like you're going to throw strikes. You're going to be the same guy that I brought in 2 days ago. You're going to be the same guy in a week that I bring in. That's the trust that major league manager. When you hear major league managers say, "I really trust this guy," it's just that you trust that he's going to bring the majority of his capabilities most every time he comes in. Now, is he going to get everybody out? No, that's not reasonable. But I think with getting a veteran guy like that, Budo's been very good for us. He came up through the system. He's a great guy, just like Blade and Drew are. And from a player development perspective, I think it's really neat that you develop these guys and they get on your own major league team. Like, we got this guy at a young age. We developed him. He contributed to our major league team last year. He did a really great job. That's probably why San Francisco wanted him. And that's just how these trades work.
Right, Dick, let me ask you, do you keep tabs with any of these guys? So obviously now they're jumping to a different coast, and Butto, Tidwell, and Gilbert, just to name a few that we're talking about right now. Do you guys keep tabs? Do you guys continue to text? Does it sort of get lost in a very long baseball season and you guys just sort of check in when you can? How does that relationship work once you guys are no longer directly working with one another?
Yeah, you check in when you can. The easy thing about texting is, you can connect right away with people. you don't forget. You spend a lot of time around these guys. I mean, we're together 10, 12 hours a day. Then there's days we travel. We're at airports or whatever, even longer. So you get to know them, and you get to care for them, and you wish them well. Like, you want guys to do well. You spend a lot of time out on the field with them, sweating. They struggle. You call them into the office and talk to them, try to keep their head above water. They're young guys, and it's a very, very difficult game. It's a very difficult game. And you feel bad, like Acuna last year, he's 21 years old. Like, you look at simple things like how about playing with like 34 and 35-year-old guys? He's never even done that before. He's never played in cold weather before. Just things that you don't think about from the outside looking in. You're like, wow, this guy's just a talented guy. Well, he struggles. He doesn't feel good about himself. We have guys on our team right now that are struggling that, you try to bring them in and just build their confidence. And there's just a lot of moving parts. So those relationships don't disappear, as guys move. And I get texts from guys too once in a while. Hey, how are you doing? How are things? Or you guys are playing well. It's good to see. And so I think that's the greater part of all of this, is just the relationships.
All right, let's talk about that second deal. We see him right here, Ryan Helsley. This is a guy that could really help the big Mets, as you mentioned. He's done some pretty good things in the major leagues already. The Mets minor league organization gives up a few players here. Jesus Baez, a pretty young player. I don't know if you've seen him play yet, Dick. I know he hasn't been up at the AAA level. Nate Dahm, a right-handed pitcher, and right-handed pitcher Frank Ellisalt. What can you tell us about those three youngsters, and then what the Mets have gotten here in exchange?
Yeah, well, we've got a guy who's been a bona fide closer in the major leagues, and those are hard to come by. And like I said, the end of the game, those outs are so difficult to get. So now we have, in addition to the guys that we already have that have been doing a great job, we have two more guys that have already really pitched at the end of those games, in the end of games where, maybe a night where we go back to back with Diaz and he needs a night off. We have another guy that can come in and close the game out for us. As far as the guys we've traded, I only really know Baez, and he's a talented guy. He's got a lot of tools. He's a guy who's got some power. He can do a lot of different things. He catches the ball well, got a good arm. I think he can hit for average. He's really young. Let me tell you guys this. I've been a director of player development for almost 15 years. When you have guys that are signed, let's say high school kid or a Latin American kid signed at 16 years old. I mean, think about that. We're signing a guy at 16. It's so difficult to project what that guy is going to look like at 19, 20, 21 years old. Like, you see the tools, but you don't know how they're going to develop. You don't know if they're going to hit these hurdles, and they just don't have like the ability to mentally get over those hurdles. You don't know where they're going to stall out, if they're going to just plow through those and keep going. But the reason we sign them is because of the tools, and this guy is a really tooled up guy.
Again, we're speaking with Dick Scott here, our Syracuse Mets manager, here on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, live here on MLB Trade Deadline Day, which is terrific for you taking the time. So thank you so much, Dick. Jeff Passan, MLB insider for ESPN, reported yesterday that before any of these moves, that the New York Mets are going to be one of the more aggressive teams at the deadline of any team in Major League Baseball. What does that say to you, Dick?
Well, I mean, we're here to win a World Series. And I think to a fan base, I mean, that's what you want to hear every year. You don't want to hear, hey, we're in the middle of a 5-year rebuild. There's a lot of places that do that. New York is one place that will never happen. The fan base, either the Yankees or the Mets, the Phillies, they don't want to hear that stuff. There's teams that can go through that, and their fan base will allow it. We are not one of those. And our owner wants to win a World Series. Our front office and our whole system is we're all in on trying to win a World Series. And so from our perspective down here is like, we need to develop as many players as we can, either to be on our major league team or to be available for days like today or yesterday.
Now, Dick, recently we've seen some guys that I thought we might never see here again in Syracuse come back to Syracuse to kind of find their footing. Let me go through a couple of them. Let's talk about Francisco Alvarez. Didn't expect to see him back here in Central New York. He's back with the big club already now. Talk about what was going on with him and what was able to happen here to get him back to the majors.
Well, I think sometimes what happens at the major leagues is it just becomes a little overwhelming, and not that he couldn't handle it, because the guy's proven that he can play in the major leagues, but you get into a bit of a rut, and it's hard to overcome that while you're still there. There's all the pressure. There's a lot of attention on Mets games. There's a lot of media coverage. There's a lot of social media coverage. You can't have an 0 for 4. It's like, okay, here we go again. So I think he just needed to be disconnected for a little bit, come down here and really start working on things, both offensively and defensively. And I will say this about, and we call him Albie, Francisco Alvarez. Albie came down with a great attitude. He's a great guy. He's a tremendous worker. He has more energy than probably 5 guys combined. And our clubhouse was very quiet. I think I mentioned this to you guys. Maybe I did or didn't earlier, but we have a lot of professional players, but we had a lot of quiet personalities. And man, when he showed up, our locker room changed. Our vibe changed. The energy changed. And he came down here to work on some things offensively. He was really pulling off the ball, big swings, trying to do damage on every pitch. And we got him to just slow down a little bit, work the ball through the middle of the field. I mean, he hit some monster home runs down in Norfolk. He hit one over the batter's eye, hit another one to left center. He did the same in Rochester. He's got plus power. And then defensively, he had a lot of movement behind home plate. He wasn't catching the ball as well as he had in the past, wasn't blocking it. They've been working on changing his stance. A lot of guys now, you guys have noticed the one knee. It's just that way. And I heard Buster Posey talking the other day. He said that at the end of his career, he tried the one knee and he actually liked it. So when you have a former all-star, probably Hall of Fame type catcher who caught conventionally and then changed to one knee and thought it was equally as good, that's kind of a nice little recommendation for this. So Albie got into a new stance, a little bit more upright, a little bit more comfortable. He was on his right knee, kicking his left leg out a little too far, and it didn't allow him to move very well. So we got him a little bit more upright, closer to his body, helped his throwing, and he just needed some time. And then he just got hot. And you can tell when guys get hot is when they start taking pitches that are close. They're balls, but they're close. And before, he'd be swinging at all of those, and his strike zone discipline got a lot better. And the first game up there, he had a hit and 2 walks, and the 2 walks really stuck out to me. Was like, okay, he's seeing the ball well.
Right.
So there were just a lot of things he needed to do, and he just needed to get down here where he could just go be himself, go to work. We don't have a lot of coverage on the Syracuse Mets nationally like they do in New York. You guys have been to a game at Citi Field. It's crawling with people, and I think it was good for him.
Dick, I got this fan question earlier today when they knew that you were going to be on the show, Johnny Boy, and he was asking about Francisco Alvarez specifically, but I want to take it to a greater degree. I don't know if you're allowed to sell these trade secrets to Dick Scott Consulting, but sort of that's the magic of what you guys do. When you guys get players sent back down, they have to work on something. And Johnny Boy, the Mets fan, was super, unbelievably shocked, awe-dropped with what you were able to do with Francisco. He said he saw him struggling. Then you guys get a hold of him, and all of a sudden now he's killing it. So what is the secret sauce to Dick Scott's Consulting in a general sense?
Well, he's a talented player. And listen.
Working with good people matters, right, Dick?
Sure. Yeah, there you go. That's a great answer.
What makes a great major league manager? Good players. That's what makes a good major league manager or an NBA coach. Good players. I mean, look, there's guys that are going to have impact, but I think the first thing that happens when guys come down is we had Vientos in the past. We've had other guys, Beatty's come down a couple times. Is the first thing is to just find out where they're at mentally. Like, are they upset? Of course. Are they bitter? I don't know. Are they going to have energy? Are they going to want to work? You got to find out where they're at. And then the first thing we really do is just try to shape that. Like, hey, let's get back to work. We're here. We're gonna give you time. You're gonna play every day. Don't worry about the line. We just try to get them in the right mental spot. And then maybe, they know they're going to have to do work, but we're not going to start shoving it at them the first day they get there because they're just not ready for it. They've just had this traumatic experience of being sent down from the major leagues. And we take a few days to do that. And it's not just me, it's the whole coaching staff, and our organization is involved. We have a lot of support people, and we all have a plan when they get here. It comes from the major leagues. This is what he hasn't been doing well. This is what he's been doing well. It's just a lot of people just trying to help a guy get back to the ability that he has.
Dick, I know you're a former major league catcher, which is interesting in this whole Alvarez equation here. Especially,
I wasn't a catcher.
Oh, you weren't? I thought you were.
I was an infielder.
Oh, okay. I thought you were a catcher for some reason.
No.
Well, let me ask you this question, though, anyway. I still think it applies. And the question is this. You know, a lot of people think that one knee catcher thing, it's a detriment to blocking the ball. And yet we have seen players. My recollection is Pudge Rodriguez is one of the all-time greatest defensive catchers in Major League Baseball history. Had unconventional ways of standing behind the plate in his catcher's stance. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is there some there about how you set up behind the plate in terms of how well you're going to block balls?
I think so, and I think it also has a lot to do with your athletic ability. Like Pudge, phenomenal athlete, right? And there are other guys, I'm sure Buster Posey, phenomenal athlete. And there's maybe some guys that aren't quite as athletic, that it probably shows up a little bit more with maybe a lack of blocking because they don't get to balls in that position. We have a guy here, Hayden Senger, who's gone up and down. This guy can really catch and throw. He blocks very well. He's from one knee, but he's an athletic guy. And there's been a lot of times for me personally where you get that runner on third base and it's like, dude, you've got to block these balls. The pitcher needs to know that if I throw my curveball in the dirt or my split finger that he's going to chase, that I'm going to get a swing and miss. But at the same time, you're going to be able to block that and keep everything, we're going to get this guy out at first. The guy from third's not scoring. And I've seen guys over the years get lazy on the one knee, probably just like they did in a conventional stance. But like, that is paramount to what guys have to do. But the other part of that too, though, with the analytics and the data is that blocking has taken a back seat over the years. It's now starting to get back into vogue, which, you're talking about a catcher. Why wouldn't blocking be in vogue all the time, right? Why wouldn't that be important? But it kind of its pitch framing is always number one. Throwing is not even that important, but when you have guys like we have at the major leagues, like Alvarez, Torrens, and even Senger, look how many guys those guys throw out. Like those are huge outs. And if you have a team, when I was with the Marlins, we had a couple minor league catchers that were phenomenal with framing, but they didn't throw anybody out. And it's like, so what's the trade-off here? The teams have stolen 69 out of 74 bases. That's an incredible pace, but you're framing 3 extra pitches a night. I don't see the run value in that personally. So I think there's a lot to it. I think it depends on how athletic the guys are. But I'll tell you guys already know this, like receiving is the top priority, framing pitches.
Yeah, we're going to get into the strike zone before we get out of here today. We're going to get into that strike zone because I want to have that conversation again with you, Dick. And I told you I'm going to keep coming back to this with you.
You do.
Today's broadcast, by the way, brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. We're talking with Dick Scott, the AAA manager of your Syracuse Mets. Let's just take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about our friends at Bayberry.
Trust is everything when it comes to auto repairs. At Bayberry Automotive, they take trust seriously. Bayberry has a team of experienced and certified mechanics that are dedicated to providing exceptional customer service. And Bayberry stands behind its work with an exceptional 5-star rating from its many satisfied customers. Family run, integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive, BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
All right, back on the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget again to like our video and, of course, subscribe at our YouTube channel at MC Show Digital. Dick Scott is our guest, AAA manager of the Syracuse Mets. We're talking all things Mets, including the big club. Some big trades were made this week. We are sitting literally on the day of the trade deadline for Major League Baseball. We'll see if anything else shakes with the big Mets. I'm sure you're not going to tell us if there's any whispering going on there, Dick. Are you?
Is your phone ringing?
Has there been any text or buzzing going on in the background over there?
No, but we've been pretty aggressive the last couple of years, and I would expect us to continue. I don't know anything. I mean, I'm not in
of course.
We have 7 more hours, and that's an eternity in baseball.
right,
I don't know if you feel comfortable, talking about this, Dick. But if again, you don't know anything. Obviously, I would never ask you to reveal it if you did.
you just
Right.
did.
But speculatively, what else would you say that the Mets? Where could the Mets be aggressive, in your opinion?
Well, you always feel like you could use another bat in your lineup. Doesn't matter who you are. I mean, Yankees back in the day when they were playing in the World Series every year still were looking for an extra bat. So that's probably something that every team is. Pitching is always like you can never have enough pitching. Every year you come to spring training and you're like, wow, we have 8 potential major league starting pitchers. Doesn't that seem like a lot? And then after a month in the season, you're like, wow, good thing we had 8 guys. So that's just I think that's always going to be the case. I think it's interesting to see the teams that are willing to deal and the teams that really they either have a fire sale on one side or teams are trying to make a run at the World Series. And then there's the teams in the middle that they just don't trade. They do very small trades. They sign minor league free agents. They're very limited major league free agent wise. And I'd much rather be on this side here where, we have an owner that his goal is to win the World Series. The Yankees, I'm sure every year when they come to spring training, their goal is to win the World Series. The Dodgers, the Phillies, that's what the fan base wants. And sometimes in those situations, you do have to give up a Blade Tidwell, who's got a big arm, and it could be a very good major league pitcher, Drew Gilbert, and other guys we've traded. But it's kind of the exciting part about it. From my perspective, it's still great, that these guys get the opportunity. Or like I said, are we a better team not having Blade Tidwell and Drew Gilbert here? Probably not. But like in the grand scheme of things, it's just a little blip on the radar here for us.
Let me ask you about another guy that came down briefly. He's a real weapon. I'm still trying to figure out, and I'd love for you to help answer this question about what he is as a major league player, and that's Luis Angel Acuna. I mean, there's no question he's a weapon at the major league level. Do you see him, Dick, inevitably being an everyday player at the major league level based on what you've seen of him in the minors?
I think he can be. And the difficulty for him right now is we have this guy playing shortstop for us that's pretty good named Lindor. And
that's a problem.
He's got a long contract, and he performs every year. So Luis is a very, very good defender. Like, this guy can really catch the ball. Like, I'm amazed at some of the stuff some of the plays he makes. Being a former middle infielder, this guy covers ground. He's got a very accurate arm. He's got a strong arm. He knows when to throw hard when he has time. For a young guy, last year I was like, man, this guy's really, really good. He's got speed. He can steal bases. I think there's definitely a place where he could go and play every day at the major leagues. The bat's got to come a little bit stronger than it is right now. But it's difficult. Part of the reason they sent him down here was just so he could play every day and get some at-bats. Because when you're playing and you're getting maybe 4 at-bats a week against major league hitting, it's hard to stay sharp. It's really hard. So that's probably the reason he came down.
So, Dick, are you seeing a young Dick Scott out there when you see Acuna? Is that what's happening there?
I wish. If that was the case, I wouldn't be talking to you guys and being the manager in Syracuse. I'd be retired somewhere playing golf. That's probably what I'd be doing.
2 other guys I want to hit real quick with you. Brett Beatty, we know he's been sticking this year up in the major leagues. What have you seen from Brett in terms of his improvements? You talked about when he came back down last year, how he was honed in, had the right attitude. Talk a little bit about where Brett's at in his evolution.
Brett's a good player, talented, got a lot of skill. I think he's getting comfortable now. Sometimes it's hard because when you go to the big leagues at first, it's like, look, we know you're a prospect, but you need to perform. And there's that pressure to perform right away. And if you don't, now people start questioning, is this guy major league ready? Is he capable of playing up here? You don't get that long opportunity. Like, you go from AA to AAA, you're a starting third baseman. You're going to play, you're going to get 500 at-bats, and you just keep playing. That's how it works. So I think he had to go through a little growth, just like Vientos has. Vientos this year has kind of gone into like a little bit of a sophomore slump, but he's a very talented guy. I mean, Mark's capable of hitting 20 to 30 homers every year in the big leagues. Brett's got big power too, so he's more comfortable. He's playing way better defense this year, and so I think he'll be, a part of the future.
We've seen a lot of Mark down in Syracuse. You expect him to bounce back here in the second half of this major league season? I know the Mets could really use him if he provided some of the things he provided last year in terms of his pop. That would be a big, big plus for the Mets. They seem to be kind of holding on to that ideal. You've seen Mark in his ups and downs. What do you think about his chances of bouncing back here?
Yeah, he'll bounce back. He's a talented guy. He can really hit. He'll be fine. It's been a little slower start. I think he anticipated things being maybe a little bit easier after having the year that he had, but the league always adjusts, and it's just a constant game. Like if you talk to veteran guys who've had, 10 years in the big leagues, every year is a new year. Like, hey, last year was fantastic, great. But if you talk to veteran guys, they're like, doesn't mean anything. It's great. At one point in my life, I'll look back and say, wow, that was fantastic. But right now, I need to get ready for this year because it's different.
Let me get one more fan question here, and I'm not sure what you know about this player, but Johnny Boy wanted to ask because, hey, maybe this guy could use a Bayberry Automotive oil change, the question is why hasn't he gone on to the next level here? And it's Jonah Tong, who Johnny Boy is really excited about. He wants to see him continue to progress and continue to ascend as this very talented prospect. Do you know anything about Jonah?
Yeah, I mean, he's got great stuff. He's been dominating at AA. I'm sure that at some point we'll see him here in Syracuse. They're probably waiting for the trade deadline. I mean, if we don't have the trade deadline, we have Sproat, we have McLean, we have Tidwell here, we have Justin Hageman. Paul Blackburn has made major league rehab starts here. There's just been no spot for him, and I suspect that will happen very quickly.
All right, Dick, the last one for me is just kind of on your season. I mean, the first half maybe didn't go as well as you thought. You guys are in contention here for the second half. People in Central New York want to see this team get back to the playoffs. That'd be a lot of fun. Give me your thoughts about how your team has played and now the challenges that you obviously face with losing a bunch of your prime players here at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, we have a good team. First half, and we had a lot of changes, too. We got some new players in. Pablo Reyes came back. Jose Azocar came back. Jared Young came back, and those guys hit at the top of our order. Some other guys are starting to hit. Our pitching's been very good. Our bullpen's been good. I suspect that, we'll continue to play well unless, different things happen that I'm unaware of.
And I would just say this for people who don't understand how it now works in this post-COVID era is that whoever the first place team is from the entire first half of the season, boop, they're in. And then and then it resets. And whoever's the first place team in the second half of the season, boop, they're in. Because, right, and we joked about this last year, Dick, because at the end of the first half, Syracuse is among the best teams in there. And as we determined, you get Bupkis for not being first and being really close. And then second half, it doesn't go that way. So that's why this second half is going to be critically important for Syracuse to finish at numero uno there, Dick.
Yeah, especially with 20 teams in the league. It's 20 teams. Yeah, it's a lot. But my computer battery is slowly passing here. Didn't charge it last night. Sorry about that, guys. But I always enjoy speaking with you, and I appreciate you guys caring about the Mets and Syracuse baseball.
All right, we'll do electronic strike zone next time. It'll just be too long. You lose your battery for sure.
I have a full.
Oh, he's going through a tunnel? What's going on here?
Something's wrong. I hear something. I can't hear you. All right, thank you, Dick. Always great to check in with you. Appreciate it. All right, good luck there on the road. Dick Scott in Buffalo with his team as the Syracuse Mets are taking on the Buffalo Bisons. And a great conversation there with Dick Scott. Boy Green, takeaways? You got any?
Yeah, just it's super cool. First off, that Dick was able to come on the show. He's sort of busy as a Syracuse Mets manager. Trying to guide this team along. And obviously, of all days, any day is always great to get Dick on. But MLB trade deadline day, as moves could have been happening in the middle of the interview and calls and things of that nature. Terrific conversation. I know we have a lot of Jets Mets crossover with our streaming live on the Manchild Show Boy Green digital Facebook page, my YouTube channel, and the show's YouTube channel. So we got a lot of connective tissue. So thank you for all the wonderful questions. Johnny Boy, Bill the Produce Guy, and others in the chat. We appreciate it and try to get to as many as possible. So thank you to the fans.
Yeah, a lot of people always ask me, Boy Green, my team affiliations. And then when I say I'm Mets, they assume that I'm Jets. And I'm like, no, I'm Mets Giants. Interesting.
Yeah, right.
Little combo. Yeah. I get a lot of comments about that over the years. I think, again, if you're a native New Yorker, as I am, and you grow up in a New York family, you kind of adapt typically what your family is into. My dad grew up a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. Okay.
Wow.
And then the Dodgers obviously left. And you don't go from the Brooklyn Dodgers to the Yankees. Like, oh, now the Dodgers are gone. Let me become a Yankee fan. That wasn't going to happen. And then along comes this expansion team in the 1962, I think was the inaugural season for the, for the New York Mets. And my dad was looking for a team. So he picked up on the Mets, like I think a lot of Brooklyn Dodger fans did. And that's the Mets fandom piece of it. I never asked my dad why he was a New York Football Giants fan instead of a Jets fan. I know some of his friends were Jets fans. I used to watch games with a conglomeration of Jets and Giants fans, which was
that must have been a party.
This kid in a room with like 5 or 6 adults, and half of them loved the Giants and half of them loved the Jets. That was always an interesting juxtaposition to be sitting in a room with people on such opposing sides. But I think in the end, they all appreciated New York sports one way or the other. So anyway, I can't explain it, but I'm Giants and I'm Mets. That's just the way it goes.
And I want to give another special shout out to Dick Scott, who just sent a wonderful text thanking both of us and always enjoying our conversation. So shout out to Dick Scott again, a very busy man. And, that was awesome. And more moves to come. The Jeff Passan, that was a direct quote from his article. The latest intel on all things baseball. The Mets are expected to be among the most, if not the most aggressive team in baseball at this deadline, which means more moves could be on the horizon.
And look, when you got a billionaire owner who at this point I think is still regarded as the richest baseball owner at the moment.
I would assume so.
So the Mets, and it's New York, as Dick said. I mean, New York, they're going to make moves, and you expect that of your team. We're not small market. Fans pay a lot of bucks to be in those seats. They pay a lot of bucks for those luxury boxes, and they expect performance. And the Mets need to get the job done. And Steve Cohen has been so far a man of his word in terms of investing in this team and trying to truly build it to be a winner. And what he wants is World Series pennant, World Series rings. That's what we all want, don't we? We all want that championship. Only one wins it every single year. But the Mets are in a pretty good track here. They mentioned a week or two ago, David Stearns, their general manager, said his number one priority at the deadline was addressing the bullpen. And they have added 3 arms to the bullpen, including the 2 that we just heard about. And they definitely upgraded that bullpen. Now, will it be enough? Is that all they need? Are they okay with their bats? If Vientos bounces back a bit, if everyone else just performs up to standards, maybe, Soto gets red hot here at the end of the year and paying him obviously a lot of money. The Mets can have enough in the batting department to be able to contend for a World Series. I guess that's what they're hoping, unless we get some kind of crazy deal here right at the deadline, as we've got hours to go. But awesome conversation with Dick. I always enjoy talking with him, and what I always love about him is he's pretty frank and honest. He does not really dodge our questions, and he really answers them to the fullest degree. I really appreciate it. And I don't know why I thought he was a catcher. I remember we've had many conversations with Dick, and for some reason I have it in my mind that he was a major league catcher. So I apologize for that slip up there.
No, that's all right.
Talk to him quite often.
Sure.
But he is a terrific manager and a really, really good representative for minor league baseball. And like I said, I really cherish and enjoy our conversations with him.
Yeah, a couple of things to close out here. You said Steve Cohen, richest owner in baseball. He is, according to Ranker, he is worth $21.3 billion with a B. Gosh. And the next closest, okay, let's see if you could guess it, Lerch, trivia. What's either the team or amount? Who is the next closest?
I'm going to guess the Dodgers. I'm going to guess the Dodgers.
According to this, it is actually the Braves of John Malone, who has $10.8 billion with a B. There you go. Yeah, the Dodgers, Mark Walter, only $6 billion. Only.
Only.
Thrown in.
Where are they 3? Or where are they in the rankings?
Yeah, 3 on the list.
Okay. Yeah. So Braves are currently at 2. Ooh, our nemesis. Hate the Braves. Hate the Braves.
But the good news is that the Mets have more than double their next closest competitor in terms of net worth, which is $21 billion to $10 billion. So I think that's good there. And then again, Johnny, thanks again for the question. Boy Green, such an awesome interview with Dick Scott. Love the answer about when a player gets sent back down. It's all about the mental and building them back up. Again, Dick Scott's been always forthcoming with his conversations, which was really cool. The conversations he had with everybody that got moved yesterday that he had a quick meeting with, from Drew Gilbert to Blade Tidwell. It's pretty cool.
And Johnny boy, you're right. Halsley and Diaz are going to be a big problem for opponents, and that's what the Mets are hoping. And they've added some other middle depth to that relief and core as well. So, look, that's what the Mets needed the most. I think they addressed it. We got the minor league take on it here. Dick Scott seems to agree that the Mets are going for it here. And we've got, like a third of a season to go here. And then obviously the playoffs. So that's when it really matters. Where you finish in the regular season, fine. But let's get to that playoff thing. Because that's when things are decided. And the Mets have built a pretty ominous situation. The Phillies, by the way, went out and got a closer too. So they're trying to,
I saw that.
There's a big battle to win that division. I think the Mets are still a half game up. I didn't check the standings yesterday. I'm not sure if that's
I'll double check that
after last night, because the Mets just got swept by the Padres. Good grief. After that big winning streak. So Mets got to get it back on track here. But some of these trades will certainly help the big New York Mets. Boy Green, final thoughts if you have any.
Yes, I do. And, I do have one. First off, I just want to get an update on the standings. Yes, the Mets are in front by half a game. So they're still a half a game up on the Phillies right now, 62-47, Phillies 61-47. But no, the final message will be from Dick Scott, who just sent this in. I always enjoy our conversations. Next time we'll get to that pet peeve of his, quote unquote, the strike zone. So Dick Scott apparently looking forward to that clash in the proverbial octagon.
He's not going to like it. He's not going to like it, because where Dick and I partner, Dick is okay. I think, at least the last time we talked to him, with the challenge system. I want the 100% automated strike zone. And by the way, we still don't have it in the major leagues at any level, but it's very clear that the major league
supposed to be coming next year.
It's going to go to
next season
when they do, when that glacier stops moving at a glacial pace, okay, or keeps moving, whatever it is, whatever the analogy is, they appear that it's pretty certain at this point they're going to do the challenge system, which I hate, because you only get a limited amount of challenges and you're not getting every call right. And the automated strike zone, you're getting every call right, and nobody has been able to dispute it. I mean, let's have welcome all comers here. Show me the numbers. Show me the statistics that say when the computer is calling balls and strikes. Ooh, did you know that 3% of the time the computer gets it wrong? No, there are no statistics about it, Boy Green. As a matter of fact, there's no transparency about what the statistics are, about which system works better. They just want to be baseball and ease in the thing instead of doing it the right way, which is end all ambiguity. That's what tennis has done. Firstly with Cyclops. I always call it Cyclops. It's not Cyclops anymore. Cyclops was just the service line, okay? And it was this little machine, almost call it like a laser, that went across the service line, and if the ball went behind it, it beeped, and it said it was out. It was long. Now we have this wonderful video system in tennis. If you've ever watched tennis, you should, at least for this alone. They have this wonderful replay system, and it shows you exactly, shows the ball all elongated and stretched out because they hit it so hard. And if it touches you can see clearly, did it touch the line? Did it not touch the line? It's 100%. There's no arguing. It's over. There's no more Ely Nastasi, John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors going crazy, on the poor chair umpire who's just sitting up there trying to do his job, because the video tells us everything we need. Okay. And now they're going to do this challenge system in baseball, and that's going to limit, and it's going to make managers not challenge things early in games that are clearly wrong calls, because you got to hold on to it in case you get one later in the game. That's the problem with the challenge system. You just get a limited amount, and then you're kind of screwed. I know in tennis they get a limited amount too, but they get more than enough for the most part to cover all the controversial calls. So even though they have a limit and they have a challenge system, it works 100% of the time, which I love.
Right. Yeah. That's always the thing with me on the challenges, that you have a limited amount. So you have to determine, like, oh boy, was that worth it to me? Not about whether or not it was right or wrong, which is what should be the conversation. If you think it's wrong, challenge it and let's go. But does this one matter enough?
Right. And my whole contention, Boy Green, in when umpires get calls wrong is this. This is why I'm so adamant about this, why I'm so passionate about this. You can feel it coming out, coursing through my veins.
It's palpable.
For now 20 years of stuff. Dick Scott's about to get unloaded on 20 years of stuff. Okay.
Good Lord.
Here's what that normal people, I guess, don't factor in. Okay. But you should. You're not going to, in the challenge world, challenge a call on a, it's 2-0. Okay. And the next pitch comes in and it's a ball, but the umpire calls it a strike. Now it's 2-1. Well, you're not going to challenge that call unless it's in the 9th inning and it's a critical moment. I don't even know in that
Correct.
situation why you would. Okay.
So you'll pass the biscuits regardless of whether
So you
or not you
pass the
thought it was
biscuits on
right.
what
Yeah.
you know has been a bad call. Okay.
Yep.
There is a distinct difference between how well hitters hit when it's 3-0 and when
Right.
how well a hitter hits when it's 2-1. And if you really flip that the best possible way, when it's 1-1 and it goes to 1-2 versus 2-1. So there are these early count situations that completely change how well hitters perform. And the statistics are out there. It's not even arguable. It's fact. Okay. So when you get calls wrong early in counts, it affects the game just as much as when you get it wrong on called strike 3 that's not strike 3 or ball 4 that's not ball 4. Those are the ones we're going to challenge. But we're not even going to challenge them till the late innings probably because, that's when it supposedly matters. But it's the ones early in the game. It's the ones early in the count that change the game of baseball. And I want it out, Boy Green, and I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop preaching from this pulpit and telling people this thing – just go all automated. We don't need human beings calling balls and strikes. It's 100 miles an hour these days, or darn close to it. Almost every pitcher in the major throws between 90 and 100 now, okay? Some over 100, all right? The ball's moving too fast. The ball has too much movement. Even a fastball is bouncing, it's skimming, it's skipping, it's rising, it's sinking. These guys get so much movement on the ball that the human eye just simply cannot get it right enough of the time. And I want it right all the time. That's what I want from my sports. I want my calls to be correct. Is there anything wrong with that? Really? Is there anything wrong with that? I just want it correct. For my team, against my team. Just get it right. Just get it bleeping right. All
there
right.
you go.
Off my
And so
soapbox again.
Yeah, Lerch says he will continue to preach about that. The thing I will continue to preach about is making sure you guys like the video and hit subscribe if you're watching live here on the channel, or even if you're watching on the replay again, and make sure you check out if you're watching us live or after the fact. Joe Bartle joins us every Friday. That'll be the next time me and Manchild are together. It'll be tomorrow morning at 10:30. So if you have fantasy football questions, Joe Bartle, fantasy football expert for rotowire.com, send in your questions. You could do that right now, as a matter of fact. The live video is already sitting there waiting for us to go live. So you can actually go in there right now, go into the comment section and submit your fantasy football questions. We'll answer them on the show. Use Joe Bartle as a tool. Use all of this to go through the process.
And Yo Holmes, I will not stop crying about umps. This is not about umps. This is about getting it right. Getting it right. Period. It's not about any umps, although there are some pretty lousy ones in baseball these days. But we won't talk about that until another day. Want to have this conversation with me, you better get ready for about 3 hours of ranting and raving. I haven't even raised my voice yet. Look out. Dick Scott's good that he got out of here.
That's smart.
Just in the nick of time, man. The old battery excuse. He got the heck out of there.
Hey, that works for me.
It was coming. It was a battery of the Manchild coming at him. That's what was really coming at him.
Well, the Manchild battery was fully charged, so I'm sure he wanted to avoid that as much as possible. So here we go.
Look out. All right. That'll do it here for our little live pop-up here with manager Dick Scott. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back at it again live tomorrow at 10:30. Joe Bartle, our fantasy football expert, will join us. Please send in your questions. Show up in the chat. We will be doing it again as a live broadcast, so you can pop into the chat. But it's always nice if you get some of your questions in advance as well. So feel free to do that, and we will see you again. Again, don't forget, like us, hit the notifications, and certainly subscribe to our YouTube channel at MC Show Digital. That David Tyree picture still sitting on my wall, baby. Talk to your friends, talk to your uncles, your aunts, your cousins, your sisters, your brothers. Get them subscribed to our channel so we can give away that David Tyree framed, autographed photo. Beautiful thing. All right, Boy Green, Manchild, out.